I first found out about Moina when I was 10 years old, and I was in my father's box of World War II memorabilia. I found a postcard addressed to my mother and signed Pat's Poppy Lady, and on it there was a little red flower, and that was the flower that I'd seen during parade times. He told me all about the postcard and the woman behind the postcard, and he became very emotional, and I saw this emotion and I realized this must have been a very special person.
And now the torch in poppy red we wear in honor of our dead. Fear not that ye have died for naught. We'll teach the lessons that you wrought in Flanders fields.
Moina Michael was born in Walton County, Georgia, and began her long teaching career shortly before her 16th birthday.
Her mother pointed out to her that the school for the children in their part of Walton County was not there anymore after the Civil War. There was a need for a teacher. She was 16 years old, but she had been to a school, so she had more education than the other people.
She was in Europe when World War I broke out and was really fearful of being able to get back. She was actually trying to be part of the USO and part of the Red Cross and go back over to Europe. And she had gone through all the training, and then they declared her too old to go.
When she was not allowed to go overseas as a canteen worker, she decided that she would do whatever she could to support the soldiers. And it was in the little things that she did, sitting and talking to them. They would bring letters up to her and they would say to her, "This is news from home," or "This is a picture from home," or "This is my family from home." And then before they left for war, she would get to look them over and say how very nice you look, and she would wish them goodwill to go overseas. She did the same thing for my dad in World War II.
And she told me about the story about the Flanders field. She was supposed to go back overseas, but she couldn't go back the age, she was not. So she was stationed in New York.
She was working in this YMCA space in the basement of Hamilton Hall at Columbia University. And that was the space where these soldiers and men headed off to war were coming. It was there that the magazine was plopped on her desk when somebody came through going to a meeting. And as everybody else got busy doing things, she flipped through it, and there she saw this rendering with the Flanders Field poem by Colonel McRae.
She got up from what she was doing and went to find red poppies. Finally found some and brought them back and put them on her desk where she was working.
The poem and its message made a lasting impression. Moina pledged not to forget the sacrifices of those who fought and wrote her own poem, "We Shall Keep the Faith."
With this picture of the poppies beside it, it really struck her as a sort of a spiritual breakthrough kind of thing. So she penned back, "We shall keep the faith," and this is her poem back to John McRae.
Moina resolved to always wear red silk poppies and began a campaign to make the poppy a symbol of tribute and support for veterans. Her persistent efforts led to the emblem's launch in March 1919, and the idea spread to England, France, Australia, and over 50 other countries.
I have been in England during the periods when the wild poppies are in the fields, and you realize that this would have been what Colonel McRae would have seen. The red poppy did symbolize the blood of these soldiers.
And when Moina saw the poppies, it was like this whole connection that she made.
Moina Michael devoted the rest of her life to this cause. Disabled veterans made the poppies, and all the profits went to the rehabilitation of veterans and their families.
She kept nothing. It wasn't hers to keep.
I mean, if it needed to get done, she did it. Times back then were so very different. Women were not the way they are now. Women were not educated. It was get grown, get married, have children, stay home, take care of the children. And she never married, never had children, But I think that made it possible for her to do some of the things she did.
I remembered the ambition of adolescent days when I would toss my chestnut curls and state most emphatically, "No, I do not want to be a married woman, and I was not going to be an old maid. I wanted to be a widow with lots of nice sons." Well, while I was an old maid, I certainly found a lot of nice sons.
But, she was so busy, but she made such a big change in my life.
By the time of her death in 1944, approximately $200 million had been raised for this cause in the United States and England. Recognition has continued after her death, including a memorial marker and the naming of a Liberty ship, Moina Michael. Moina valued her honors primarily because they came to Georgia and a Georgia woman.
She wanted the credit for this poppy to go to Georgia. She wanted that to be something that Georgia could stand up and say, you know what, this is our contribution through her. That was very, very important to her.
70 years later, and we've met a wonderful person who wants to tell the story of the poppies and wants to educate the children of the importance of the veterans who fought so many years ago.
And I started writing for children, and my father had said to me at that time, no one knows about this woman or how wonderful she really was. And I went to a local library and I asked the head librarian, I would like to get word out about this woman.
It's a children's book, so it'll be interesting to see what it's going to be like, but it's getting it back in the forefront again.
This was Moina's idea. She never took a penny. She did everything with her money to benefit the soldiers and their families. I knew lots of organizations that benefited veterans and families, but I wanted to go towards the children of the veterans. And I found Operation Purple. And in Operation Purple, the children of our military are sent away for a week to a camp where they can enjoy themselves, where they can talk to other children whose family members have been deployed, so they're all in the same situation, and they have counselors there to talk over feelings that the children have about not having their parents with them at that time, being away at war, being frightened that they're away. And they like to call the children America's youngest heroes.
I think she'd like to hear, "We caught the torch. We caught the torch, and we'll carry it forward and pass it on."
My dream is the same as Moina's dream. I want every American to wear a poppy. And I want it to be that each time they pin that poppy on, they remember what the soldiers have sacrificed for us.